speak of every word, with every word you say. Mysterious, mysterious, until you know the truth. As simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, angels' wings, oh heaven's door, but whatever you name, it's all one power, can't you see, it's the power of the love in you and me, one power. We speak so many languages, different clothes, different colors, different names. It's only dangerous. We forget in the heart, it's all the same. We'll remember once we close our eyes to see that such distance never meant to be. Call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Hashem, heaven's door. It's Muhammad, it's your mind, it's your soul, it's your sign, it's the universe, it's music, Mother Earth, Father Time, but whatever you name, you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? Whatever name you give it, it's the very air we breathe, oh, it's the power of the love in you and me, one power, what we are, one power. It's the moment of creation. It's an everlasting peace. It's the freedom of forgiveness. It's the sweetness of relief. It's the joy of inspiration. It's the sunshine on your face. It's the birthright of all nations. It's the boundlessness of space. It's the beauty of the serenity. It's the air we advance. It's love that's most deep. It's one power. There's one power. What we are is my soul remembers your voice.
Welcome to Unity, where love is felt, truth is taught, lives are transformed, and all is well as we express the Christ within.
The hymn? Sorry. I guess we're going to do hymn number 88, Sweet Hour of Prayer. And let's stand. Stand up, shake off.
And what's the number again?
Number 88, Sweet Hour of Prayer. Everybody have a book?
88.
Yeah. Ready? I'll wait for everybody to get up. Stand as you're able is what we should say, right? Sweet hour of prayer, sweet hour of prayer, enfolded in the presence rare of one who fills with truth and light, the one who works with wondrous might. The stillness of this silent hour brings peace, goodwill, and conscious power. The time of silence is to me eternal joy and harmony. Sweet hour of prayer, sweet hour of prayer, in love with all and everywhere. The universe is but the whole of all that is in man's pure soul. Through Christ the truth I now behold, the brotherhood of man unfold. Man thinks this loving thoughts and feels the beauty Christ the truth reveals. Sweet hour of prayer, sweet hour of prayer, into the secret place repair. I feel that quickly life of thine, and know that thine is also mine. The light of truth is now revealed. I sing with joy, for I am healed. The glory of the Lord I've seen, at one with him I'm kept serene.
And good morning. Good morning and welcome to Unity of Gainesville, Florida. Did you know we are still in the sacred holidays? Today is Easter for the Eastern Orthodox churches. And so if you've already participated in an Easter ceremony, I hope that it was indeed one that was full of joy, rebirth, and rejuvenation. And please know that today's music, message, as well as each member of this congregation, whether online or in person, is here to bless and support you on our spiritual path. I am Rupali Robinson, and I will be guiding you through this morning's sacred time with the support of Janet. How do I say your last name?
Rucker.
Rucker. I wanted to be sure I said it right. The prayer partner is Ann Young. Board member on duty is Barbara Gordon. And our AV and stream team is, I believe, we have Steve Greeno and Gabe Coleman tonight. And, of course, our speaker today is licensed Unity teacher Carla Palmer. And her lesson is enticingly entitled Forever Ancient, Forever New, Part 2. And now, Carla, will you please open us with prayer?
Thank you, Rupali. Good morning, everyone. Beautiful people, beautiful faces. Just as we usually do with is try to align ourselves, get into alignment with your heart and your mind. And so my little way of doing it is just to take my hand, my left hand, and kind of hover it over my heart area. And it doesn't have to be touching, just out there somewhere, because you will feel that energy. And so just breathe into that part of the chest, suspend and hold for about 4 beats, and then let it out. And do this a few times, and this aligns all of us, all of our hearts and minds together. We're open to all people this day, feeling the Christ presence in our hearts, expanding thought throughout the entire cosmos. If you can imagine that, expanding this energy that you feel right now out into the cosmos, sending healing to all the places that can use it, and are open and receptive to it, just like the song that we just sang. Knowing that all is in divine order, existing as an invitation to relax and breathe into whatever is on the mind, and releasing any discord or unease that may be there in the mind. So we just let go of whatever it took to get us here today, and allow these words that I speak to be those of your own heart. I am empty, ready and willing to hear and be the truth. I have come that they may have life and have it more abundantly. And so we celebrate this Easter Sunday for Eastern Orthodox friends. We get to celebrate the resurrection, though, every day, knowing that every time we have a healing or a loving thought, or whenever we have a change of heart, whenever we consciously align ourselves to the teachings that our elder brother Jesus gave us, every time we do that, we resurrect. And this makes our hearts so expansive and grateful. And so it's simply, and so it is. Amen. And take a nice breath.
Is there anyone here today for the first time? Okay. No one new, so it's just all family. Okay. And now we'll go back to the announcements.
I love to call this section announcements and acknowledgments because there's so many wonderful things happening here because of the wonderful hearts and generosity of each and every one of you. So I'll start with the formal announcement. On your chair, you saw a flyer, and this is for next week's programming. Please help us welcome Reverend Anne Marie Acasio, Unity Minister and author. She will be our guest speaker for our service, and she is offering a workshop from 12:30 to 2, as well as a book signing. And there will be healthy snacks and hot drinks and cold drinks available to tide us over until after the workshop. Or, as it mentions in the flyer, if you want to bring something yourself, brown bag it, that's fine too. Notice that there's more detail in the flyers, and a quote that I found, Reverend Anne Marie says her passion is being an itinerant minister, like my good Jewish friend, Jesus. And a second thought, these will be given out, or either given out or on your chairs next time. There will be what we call the new feedback form. We are looking to get feedback from our congregation for any guest speakers, and it's a very simple form, and it just says, how is that the spiritual lesson for you? We are not judging the individual, but simply focusing on the presentation. So these will be passed out next week. If you see it and you wish to contribute your opinion, it is so that our programming of guest speakers can be appropriate and welcomed. We just want to bring you the best. And then ongoingly, as you know, because we're just part of the world, the questions of social distancing and masking have been revisited each month by the Board of Trustees. And at this time, given what we see in the outer world, we are no longer requiring masking and social distancing, but we are saying simply we encourage it. This announcement is already on the website, and it will be in our weekly e-blast, the Unity Messenger, edited by Sue Henry Young. Finally, two last announcements. The last beautification day for our church home is next Saturday, while the weather still holds, 8 to 1, with a lunch provided. Please notice how much has changed around us. One of the things I particularly love is that this outdoor deck has been primed and given first coat, and will have a second coat given to it. And it just makes that outside area look so beautiful. And thanks go to Weed, who is also known as Reverend Jane Roy. And of course, if you're coming for the beautification day, let Steve Greeno know. Today, Carla is going to be, I think, with Lori, helping to reorient a welcome team training. And so we simply would like you to raise your hand if you are intending to participate in that. We used to call it the greeters. Yes. Okay, 1, 2, 3. If you've already been in the first meeting that we did at the beginning of the month, you don't have to come again. It's for people that are new. Yeah. Okay, now was that 3 then? Okay, thank you so much. And that's so that we can have the packets available for you and know how many to make up. It will start at 12:30. And now I would like to invite Sonia Travis to come up and read the daily word.
Good morning. The word of the day is gather. Okay, gather. We gather and magnify the presence of God. The verse is, how very good and pleasant is it when kindred live together in unity. Psalms 133, verse 1. As I gather with others in the spirit of love and peace, my awareness of God's presence becomes more powerful, even palpable. Together, we create an energy, a vibration, greater than any of us has alone. I am comfortable and at ease when I notice our differing appearances, preferences, backgrounds, and opinions, because I am reminded of the limitless diversity of divine expression and my place in it. I join in fellowship with my family and friends and all others who are dear to me, each of us because a mirror for the others. We see in one another the divine presence that lives in and expresses as every person. The unifying energy of divine love unites and binds us together. In this love, we are one. The word of the day is gather.
So I hope you weren't planning to come to church and just relax today. Brought my banjo, which means please stand up. And this is a kind of a call response song by John Hartford called "Turn Your Radio On." And it's like you just say "Turn your radio on," like I say it, and then you say it like that. Oh, please stamp your feet. Come and listen in to a radio station where the mighty hosts of heaven sing. Turn your radio on, turn your radio, turn your radio on, turn your radio on. If you want to hear the songs of Zion coming from the land of endless spring, get in touch with God. Turn your radio on, turn your radio, turn your radio on, turn your radio on, and listen to the music in the air. Turn your radio on, turn your radio, turn your radio on. Turn the lights down low and listen to the pastors. Get in touch with God. Turn your radio on, turn your radio on. Listen to the songs of the fathers and the mothers and the mighty friends who've gone before. Turn your radio on, turn your radio, turn your radio on. Some eternal, we shall meet on heaven's door. Get in touch with God. Turn your radio on, turn your radio, turn your radio on, and listen to the music in the air. Turn your radio on, turn your radio on. And they hear the songs of Zion coming from the land in the spring. Get in touch with God. Turn your radio on, turn your radio on. And we don't mean your car radio.
Wow, that got the energy up. That is fantastic. Thank you so much, Janet. Woo, me good. Like it, like it, like it. Okay, so you kind of got it when Rapali said part 2. And how that turned out is that we were trying to find, Reverend Betty and I were trying to figure out our schedule for this month of April, and she said, "I don't know what to do." I said, "Listen, I have found so much about paradoxes. I can do it, but I can do it twice. So don't worry about it." And also this is like part 2, and I'm kind of excited about it because, you know, they always say that the teacher learns twice. Remember? And so that's the way I feel, that I've learned so much from this. So here we go. our affirmation for this month is, with quiet contemplation, I see oneness in all creation. Say it with me. With quiet contemplation, I see oneness in all of creation. Yay. All right. So we see this affirmation is also kind of a paradox, isn't it? Within oneness with all of creation, there's only oneness, or what, so it is that middle road that we're going to be talking about today, to be able to handle that. So just to review, a paradox is something that, while it initially looks like a contradiction, it gets your attention. It just gets your attention. It's so amazing to see everybody's faces. I'm having a moment here to see everybody's. So, what happened on Friday? What was that? Anybody remember? Earth Day. This is what you get when you have a licensed Unity teacher giving your message. We want you to get, we want to have a kind of like a dialogue. So, yeah. And so it was Earth Day on Friday, and I got into that. It started in 1970, so for 52 years, if I did the math right. And it started just with our country, and now they say that 190 nations around the world celebrate Earth Day on April 22nd. And it's always on that day. It's not necessarily always on a Friday, but So what happened in the early 70s, Jim and I and our family, we were all avid environmentalists. In fact, our kids, they don't like for me to tell this story, but because now they're grown men and all, but when they wanted to rebel, when they were little, they would say, I'm going to go outside and litter. Because they knew that would be the thing that would get me the most. I'm going to litter. Okay, like that. So anyway, what was happening in that time is that in 1970, they were, the scientists were concerned about climate change. And nobody thought anything about it, and all that. And so what a system often needs is a system that is running. It needs to be checked out. Is it still working the way it should? And so it became obvious that our human system and the way that we were using fossil fuels and on were causing a problem. And so I went on to have that as a career for several years, and was able to be involved in some of the environmental laws and things like, and guidances and all that the state of Florida has and the United States has. And so it taught me, I was thinking when I was going over this, I thought, what did it teach me? What are the most important things? And so I kind of jotted them down. The most important thing is that adaptation leads to survival. A system that can't adapt won't live. And you find that in the environment. Change is not the enemy. And because most of us say, I don't want to change, I don't want that, don't make me do that, And then that old adage is, you're either for me or you're against me. And here we come into the paradox now. You're either on my side or you're against me. There was that duality thinking, that dual thinking. It's either this or this. Two things. So what I learned is that dual thinking is not sustainable. It can't last. It cannot last. So we need a third view, a bigger view, the bigger picture. And either or isn't big enough anymore for us to carry, and we have to learn to think in paradoxes. Alan Shepard, my husband and I, worked in the early space program on Mercury and Gemini, and when he this is a quote that I found from him. He said, "When I first looked back at the Earth standing on the moon, I cried." Can you imagine standing on the moon and looking back at your home? Yeah. So we have to go deeper with a paradox. Like I said, it gets your attention, and hold it longer on a different level. And whenever I talk about paradoxes, I think of the that statue of Justice, where she's got the scales, but there are two, and she's standing there like that. And we've got to hold them both. So the third way that I was alluding to earlier is love. He cried because he loved the earth. When you look at it from space, it looks like a blue marble floating in space. So while I was doing my research, I found this question, and I'm going to ask you, and it's kind of altruistic in a way, but it said, how paradox tolerant are you? And it kind of reminds me of those tests you get or quizzes you get in a magazine. How paradox tolerant are you? Well, research has shown that being able to hold the tension in a paradox is something that's a leadership trait. Those of you who are online and those of you who are here in the room, you know that leaders always can hold both sides. Leaders can integrate between the opposite ideas. So we're seeing that today on the world stage with innovation. People are being very innovative now with all kinds of systems. They're trying to find a unique third way. When Jesus taught, he spoke in paradoxes all the time. And what do we call those little stories? Thank you. We call them parables. Good, this is working. So he spoke in paradoxes, and one of the things that he called himself, I'm the true vine, he said, and you all are the branches. So he didn't mean that literally. He wasn't green and had leaves, or anything like that. But he meant it figuratively and spiritually. And so I've always been fascinated by this one parable that he taught, and it's taken me years to be able to hold the tension of it. So I wanted to share that with you today. And it's from Matthew, the 20th chapter. And so, but before we get started, I want you to listen carefully to this. I want you to count how many times the main character, the landowner, goes into the village, and I want you to count how many hours that is in the day that is depicted in this story. So you got it? How many times he went into the village and how many hours that they counted. All right, in this story, because it's a long story, and I've got the whole Bible verse, the whole Bible chapter here in my notes. And so people always kept asking him, if you looked at the stories, is tell us again what the kingdom of heaven is like. It was almost like the people couldn't understand it, because see, he was new. He was talking about all this stuff that they had never heard before. And so they wanted him to say it again in another way. Has somebody ever asked you a question and you go, can you say that in a different way so that I can understand it better? You know, that's kind of what it was. And so here we go. You're ready to count now. Okay. And he says, for the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man who was a householder who went out early in the morning to hire laborers into his vineyard. Right now, you know, vineyard, it's a loaded word because he called himself the vine. Okay. And when he had agreed with the laborers for a shilling a day, he sent them into his vineyard. And he went out about the third hour and saw others standing in the marketplace idle. And to them he said, go also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right I will give you for you to pick grapes. And they went their way. Again he went out about the 6th and the 9th hour and did likewise. And about the 11th hour he went out and found others standing, and he said to them, why have you been standing here all day idle? And they said to him, because no one has hired us. He said to them, go also to my vineyard. And then evening was come, and the Lord of the vineyard, that's the man, said unto his steward, call the laborers together and pay them their hire, but start with the ones who got here last. And when they came and when they came that were hired about the 11th hour, those were the ones, they received every man a shilling. And when the first came, they supposed that they would get more. And they likewise received 1 shilling. And when they received it, they started murmuring against this landowner, saying, these last have spent but 1 hour, and you've made them equal with us who have borne the burden of the day in the scorching heat. But he answered and said unto them, friend, I do thee no wrong. Did not you agree with me for a shilling? Take up that which is yours and go your way. It's my will to give unto the last, even as unto thee. Is it not lawful for me to do what I will with my own money? You know, or is this evil eye you're giving me because I'm good? So that's the end. That's the end of the story. And then they go on to moving along. So how many times did he go into the town? The landowner. Did anybody else? You got 4, you got 6, you got 5. It's 5. It's 5. Okay. That doesn't mean anything about you, Shirley. It just And then how many hours were there in this day that these people were working? 12. Good, y'all. Good. So then I looked up 5. This is how demented I am sometimes. So I looked up 5 in the Hebrew dictionary on what number 5 means. And it means breath, air, spirit, femininity, strength of faith. Okay. So, and then 12 means order and organization. The 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 powers, the 12 disciples, the 12 hours in a day that they consider that a day to work in. So with those things, we know that Jesus was speaking in a code. And it was a code that they would understand because they were all Jews. They all knew that 5 didn't exactly mean 5 fingers, but it also meant faith, strength, femininity, that kind of thing. And they also knew about the numbers. So I want to ask you a few questions here. Remember that he said, I am the true vine and you are the branches. What did that mean to you? I am the true vine and you're the branches. It's oneness. There's, can a branch be separate from the vine stalk? No, it'll die. Okay. So he was, and remember, he was saying, what is the kingdom of heaven? He was answering them with what the kingdom of heaven was like. So did you pick a side when that story happened? That's not fair. They've been working all day, and they got the same amount as those guys that slipped in for 1 hour. Come on, that's not right. Did anybody... To be honest, that's the way I read it. The first time I read that, I was going, wait a minute, this isn't right. This isn't right to do that to your workers. Yeah. So why did the vineyard owner keep going back into town?
Because he was the landlord of the vineyard, and that the vineyard is the place of the divine of God, then he was inviting all to come and partake of being part of the divine.
Okay, that is a third way. As a farmer, yeah. So as a farmer, and I don't know if any of you know anything about wine or grapes or and all, but you've got to pick that all as soon as that grape has a certain amount of sugar in it, and you can by tasting it, and all. So it has to, that harvest has to come in 12 hours. You can't, the next day when the sun comes up, that grape is not going to taste the same. That's the way it is with vineyards and making wine. And so it was really important, and this is the way I looked at it, if you were looking at it literally, is that it was just as important what those guys did to bring in who came later as it was the guys who were there at the very beginning, because it took all of that to get that one crop done, to get it in the vats, and all that. So his goal for the day was to get that whole thing harvested. So wasn't each person just as important? Even though the other one. So can you now get a little more comfortable with paradox by looking at another way, by looking at it spiritually, by looking at it in the concrete way, as they say, the mundane, when they compare it to the spiritual way? Holding the tension between the two. Well, actually, Jesus didn't say it like this, but what we teach in unity is that the kingdom of heaven is a higher state of consciousness. When we lift up our consciousness, I have a teacher who says, bring your consciousness up to like 10 inches above your head. And if you and maybe we'll practice that in our meditation after this is done. That's okay. The kingdom of heaven is a higher state of consciousness. It's almost like a knowing. And I know that each one person here has known. I'm not going to turn right for some reason. I usually go this way, but I'm going to go straight, or I'm going to go a different way. It's the knowing. You've had these things. And then we also have to think about the big picture. So the third view always removes the paradox. It's just, oh, and you have this feeling of relaxing. And most of the time it's love that does it. I would say 99.9% of the time it's love. Everyone is welcome in the kingdom of heaven, right? And it doesn't matter how long in your life you've meditated. I know people that say, I've been a meditator since I was 17 years old. Thank you, dear. I do this every day, blah, blah, blah. And it's not, and the kingdom of heaven is not dependent on how much time you practiced, how much time you prayed, worked with the poor and the sick, given to charities. A person who has not done either is always welcomed into the kingdom of heaven. Always. And so isn't that bigger picture that Jesus was trying to say? Everybody, and welcome in the kingdom and receives the full rights and privileges thereof. Okay? Your life changes when you lift up your consciousness. That's why Jesus is our icon for transformation. We said it at the beginning, lives are transformed, is what we said. We can put together what Jesus put together. And in fact, didn't he say that? These things that I do, you can do also, and you better do it. You better get to it. You know, that kind of thing. So we call that reconciliation when we reconcile the two ends of that. So I know that y'all know that I used to be a mathematician, but what I'm telling you today is that 1 and 1 is 3. Okay? 1 and 1 is 3. And next week you're going to hear about the Trinity. Wow, this is perfect timing, perfect timing. The same reconciliation takes place in my soul. I know that I am a child of earth and a child of God. Two different things. Yes, we can reconcile that. And they don't cancel each other out. So we have a book group here, and anybody can join us on Thursday night. We're reading Richard Rohr's book called The Universal Christ. And it just so happens that last Thursday we were reading this, and so I copied this down to share with you. Jesus himself was crucified between a good thief and a bad thief, hanging between heaven and earth, holding on to both his humanity and his divinity, a male body with a female soul. Yet he rejected neither side of these forces, but allowed them all and reconciled all things within himself. And that quote is from Ephesians. And so this is such a beautiful time, especially I'm glad that Easter is lingering a little longer for us, that we can recognize these things instead of just having it on one day. So in closing, I'd like for you to remember these things. You never have to talk God into loving you. You don't. You don't have to talk God into loving you. Jesus came, though, to talk us into loving each other. Trying to talk us into loving each other. Jesus was not teaching a fear-based religion either. He wasn't even teaching a religion. He was talking to his fellow Jews who said, look at it another way. Look at it this way. That included living in harmony with as earthlings and godlings. I always think of you all as godlings, I really do. So we don't have to perform to be loved, but love transforms us. Okay. And you know what they say, what isn't transformed is transmitted. And so you want that love to be, you want to be transformed by love. Unity, if you haven't gotten it by now, is a transformational spirituality based on these 2,000 years of the teachings of a man named Yeshua. Sounds a lot like Joshua. And that's what they called Joshua, was Yeshua also. It's interesting, there's a Yeshua in the Old Testament, there's a Yeshua in the New Testament. And these who on purpose, Yeshua in the New Testament on purpose, changed our entire relationship with Spirit, if you think about it. Showing us how we are the same as He is and can do what He did. He showed us we each carry the consciousness of the Christ within us, our divinity. So we can be fully human and fully divine at the same time, not one or the other. And so I leave you with that. And so it is, in gratitude. Amen. And now we're going to get ready to take this inside into meditation. Janet, do you have a little song that would, or chant, or anything that would help us? And if not, it's fine.
Okay, I didn't prepare anything. I have one for afterwards.
Oh, we have one for after.
But I can do it now.
Okay.
It's more of a listening song.
That's great. That's great. We'll just do that. We'll just do this then, and we'll wait. We'll hold the other one for. It's like the dessert. Yeah. So let's prepare for meditation, and take these things inside. And we relax. You may want to bring your shoulder blades together a little bit in your back. You may want to move your head from side to side. You may want to breathe and notice your breath. With every breath I take, I am relaxed more and more. I know deep within my soul that I am loved and that I am transformed by love. I love. I look for ways that I can love, knowing that love is most of the time the answer to every question. I can love my neighbor as Jesus taught me. And through loving, I am transformed. Transformed into all that I can be, into higher consciousness. Love transforms me into the kingdom of heaven. And so I imagine right now that I am lifting energy from the Earth Mother. I can feel it coming up through my feet. I feel it coming up through my body. Cool and inviting Earth Mother love. And as it reaches higher and higher in my body, I allow it to come out through the top of my head and I lift it up. I lift it up about 10 inches above my head, and I see it as this beautiful orb of energy that came from the earth. I can heal. I am healed by love. Heaven and earth is full of my glory. As I allow that energy to be there, I see that any problem that I may have, how it can be lifted by love. And so I take this moment in silence to imagine this energy and this healing of whatever problem that I suppose that I have. I am the resurrection and the life. I am come that you may have life and have it more abundantly. I am the door. I am the good shepherd. I am the light of the world. I am, I am, I am. By all God's love, I know I am. I resurrect myself whenever my heart is full with love. I am resurrected. I am the light of the world, and this light can turn into a spark and a fire that is contagious. And so wherever I go, I spread this beautiful, beautiful love. And so I allow this ball, this orb of energy to cascade out in all 360-degree direction like a fountain in this room. Feeling the love of everyone, feeling the longing, feeling the good in this kingdom of heaven in which we all reside. Breathing in gratitude for this time together. Breathing in the love, smiling on the face. I allow this energy then to wash away, wash throughout the room, knowing that there is an infinite supply. I can give it away and never run out. Infinite, infinity. Come unto me, all who are heavy laden, and I will give you peace. I am the peace that passes all understanding. I am the fire. I am a sacred, sacred fire. grateful. My heart is full. And so it is. Amen. And when you feel ready, open your eyes. Take a nice breath. Look around the room and see if there's anything you notice that's different. Look at the radiance. Look at the radiance. Amen.
Hi, everyone. I can't see you through my glasses. This is one of my probably top 3 songs in the world I love. It was written by Pierce Pettis. Does anybody know him? He's been to Gainesville and performed a few times. It's also the song that's most likely to make me cry. Can't be bought or sold or faked, that kind of love, though it always gives itself away. That kind of love, wiser than the wisest sage, its innocence makes me ashamed, till I'm not sure that I can take that kind of love. Pride and hatred cannot stand that kind of love, though greater love hath no man than that kind of love. Won't be kept unto itself, it spreads its charm, it casts its spell, till no one's safe this side of hell from that kind of love. Love rejected and ignored, held in chains behind closed doors, stuff of legend and of song. Deep down, everybody longs for that kind of love. Oh, that kind of love. Some people never know that kind of love, though it only takes a child to show that kind of love. Widows smile and strong men weep, and little ones play at his feet. The deaf can hear, the blind can see, that kind of love. Love triumphant, love on fire, love that humbles and inspires, love that does not hesitate, with no conditions, no restraints, that kind of love. Oh, that kind of love. How could anyone deny that kind of love, when every heart is measured by that kind of love? Even stars fall from the sky, and everything will fall in time, except those things that cannot die, like that kind of love. Oh, may you be remembered by that kind of love.
Beautifully done, Janet, and thank you for that kind of love, which goes so perfectly with Carla's talk. Thank you so much. This sense of oneness, the sense of wholeness, is what this time is about. This time is the time of giving. Giving is not about money. It is a matter of faith in the divine and remembering the principle of divine circulation. Remembering from the parable that was spoken so beautifully today, that as we give, we receive abundantly. Please know that both in our weekly newsletter and website, there is a link for secure online giving. It's a beautiful blue button. It's not hard to find. And if you are participating online through YouTube, Zoom, or Facebook, please consider offering if you have felt that you received spiritual food today. If you are in the sanctuary today, please hold your gift in your hand and perhaps place it over your heart. You will then offer it to the little basket by the door on your way out. These gifts support our staff, our AC, our lights, our supply, everything that supports this building, including what's in the restroom. So we are grateful for your generosity. So say with me very after me, I think call and response. Divine love, expressing in me, through me, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And now let's welcome in our children, Miss Gwen, and they will show us what they have learned today. And after the blessing, we will form a circle around the sanctuary.
I even forgot to bring in my symbols
coming?
of children. But I did remember to bring in what we were going to talk about today. So we will talk about it next Sunday. It's a worm. It's amazing what God can teach us through a worm.
That's WORM, folks, if you're on line there. Worm, yes. And the lessons of the worm will come next week. Okay. So we will be singing for ourselves, our inner child, for the children of the world, and for those children that we see coming through the door. And we say first, children, we love you. We bless you, and we see the Christ presence in you. And I'm looking at you because you're the children right now. And as I was saying, we will form a circle around the sanctuary, and then Janet will lead us in the song of peace. And concluding, we will speak the prayer of protection together.